Hey all, sorry for the long absence. Um, Life. Anyway, so this is kind of a video I didn't think I had to make, but it did come up and therefore I have to make it. You may notice a lot of videos where I go, hey, I didn't think I had to make this video. And then I did. This video is basically very simple. You don't have to make friends. You don't have to be friends with people. You should never, ever, ever feel required to be friends with people. Um, People are going to suck spoons. People are going to be uninteresting. People are going to be. See, the thing about friends is they add to your life. They add to everything. People talk about I dump friends because of X, Y, and Z situation. I dump friends because of this. I dump friends. I famously, I think I talked about it on this web series. Stopped talking to somebody I'd known since high school, roughly at the beginning of when I started recording. Actually, before I started making this series, because she turned out to be an abusive drunk, an abusive, very racist drunk. To put this in perspective, I'll give a little shout out. There's a little El Salvadoran uh, taqueria y pupuseria in Reno called El Paisan. I really like them. I obviously living 2,800 miles away, I can't go there anymore, but they were very good. And I bought her some tacos and some pupusas, and um, and she ate them and she spit them out and went, "Why do you think I'd want to eat this wetback food?" And she was dead serious. She wasn't like being, she was dead serious. Like, why would you give me this strange tasting food? One second. Um, our air conditioning system is loud. I have to turn off. Why would you give me this strange tasting food? I don't understand. But she turned out to be very racist. She thought it was okay to say kike because she was friends with a Jew. She thought it was okay to say the N word because she had a friend from high school that was black. And when you call her out on this, she's like, "But this is how it's raised." It doesn't matter. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail as I have before. She was toxic. She turned out to be alcoholic. She was abusive. Um, she was an energy suck. She basically walked into your life, was a taker, not a giver, and she accused me of trying to kill her aunt because I refused to take her to the store to buy a microwave because she refused to cook while taking care of her aunt. Only could use a microwave. She refused to shop. She refused to do anything. And if you expected her to be responsible, somehow you were the bad guy. Um, I know a lot of people who have since stopped talking to her, people who interacted with her on a regular basis because of this. In fact, the refrain seems to be, I haven't talked to her in a few years, but I thought everything was okay. And then they meet her and they're like, oh, yeah. And what it is she's 3 years younger than me. So she's 36 going on 14. And so I'm not friends with her. Now that's a very good example. It's a very good example of somebody I was friends with. I was friends with her throughout junior and senior year of high school, and but that was in the mid '90s, and it's now almost 2020. So we're talking close to 25 years. I'm 39, so we're talking 25 years ago. I first met her, and people could change. I have changed. I clearly have changed. Talk to any. Oh, talk to my wife. She's talked about it. Anyway, I have changed, and other people change, and sometimes those changes are not compatible with being friends anymore. But this video came up because someone asked me, was it okay to not be friends with somebody they had just met? Yes, I meet people all the time. I work with some good people. There's one guy I get along with very well at work. But he's constantly trying to be friends with me, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be here for more than a few years, and you've never left the state. Like you're a good guy, man, but I'm out of here. And I make a lot of casual acquaintances and casual friends. Oh, to sort of lubricate my way through life socially. But I keep very few close friends. People I really let in. There's a lot of people here locally in Raleigh that don't know half the shit that's happened in my life. They say I talk a lot and they think they know me, and that's a defense mechanism. I've admitted it before. And I know other Aspies who do the same, where we talk a lot but say very little. Others just say very little and say very little. Some people say very little and talk a lot. It's, watch the series Longmire. Walt Longmire says very little and speaks a lot. I'm the opposite. I say a lot and speak very little. And I do this to keep people at a distance, and I prefer it that way. I do it purposely. It's not like I'm going, oh, you don't understand. You're. No, I purposefully keep people at a distance. I have boundaries, and I don't want them to be crossed. And this is all part of growing up and learning what's okay with you and what's not. And this person asked, they knew an Aspie, and they didn't really particularly like them. So is it okay to deny friendship with them? And this was neurotypical. And I said yes. Like, yes, it's perfectly okay to meet somebody and not hate them and not dislike them in any real way, but go, I don't really want to be friends with them. Friends need to add to your life. They don't. If somebody subtracts, don't be friends with them. If somebody doesn't add to your life in any real way, you don't have to be friends with them. There's a lot of people that just don't add to my life. Um, I have a friend. Actually, we made decent friends with him here in Raleigh. Him and his fiance, and he had roommates. And the first time me and my wife met his roommates, we went, "These are a bunch of fuckwits," and we were nice to him, but the friend and his fiance's sister, she needs a lot of help. She's a very immature person at her age, and we just kind of looked at them and went, yeah, we don't need to be knowing these people terribly well. So we didn't. And that's perfectly fine. It's a very adult thing to go, I don't need this. Let me ask you a question. Would you go into a restaurant and eat all the time if you didn't particularly like their food? No. Would you go play a game if you didn't particularly enjoy it? No. Unless there's some outside pressure forcing you to hang around this person, you're not going to. You're going to find an excuse. You're going to somehow get away from it. And that's okay. There is somebody who got into my gaming groups that I've not paid any particular attention to. They're a friend of a friend, and this person knows them and likes them. I found them, they're more than 20 years younger than me, and that's not necessarily a barrier to friendship, but I was born in the 70s, and they were born after the millennia, or at or near the end of the millennium. That's a hell of a difference. When I have friends who have children that were born, friends that graduated high school with me, that had kids after high school that are older than this person, there's going to be a distinct um, generational difference. And they are bored. They're a boring person. They haven't gone anywhere. They've now, for the first time in their life, really left the state of North Carolina. And it sounds like they're doing something interesting with their life. At least I hope that they are giving the opportunity they've been given as much as they can, so that it improves them and changes them as much as possible. This person didn't do any athletics. This person didn't do any martial arts. Didn't have any real hobbies. They were not wide. They were not deep. They were just sort of there. They were vanilla and beige and a bunch of other things. And the only thing I could talk about is their sexuality and their gender identification. As I've said before, um, if the most interesting thing about you is that you're gay or transgender, you're not an interesting person. You just aren't. If I were to tell you the most interesting thing about me is I was straight, you go, and why the fuck should I care? Well, the most interesting thing about me is I have red hair or blue eyes, or that I don't tan easily, or that I was born a Jew. Okay, I can be straight and tell you about crazy ex-girlfriends. I can be a redhead and tell you about, the time I lathered up with so much sunscreen that, it started causing chemical burns because I was using it so much. I tell you about being a Jew, and I can tell you the history of Jews. And the history of the Jews is interesting because it's history. And I have a lead in. A story always needs a lead. And I can lead with that. As a Jew, I can tell you about this. As a redhead, I can tell you about this. These are leads into things that are interesting. The thing that I'm leading with isn't interesting. It's just the hook. And so therefore it's not by itself interesting. Nothing I have no control over is really that interesting. And so this person, their defining characteristic was their sexuality slash gender identity. And I was like, okay, and we did a few role playing games, and I can't even remember what they played. They were so vanilla, so beige. Maybe they'll come back different. Maybe then we'll be friends. But until then, it's like I don't need you in my life, and uh, I hope they don't ever come back. Not because I don't like them, but because I think coming back is a step backwards in their life, given what they told me about it. Like I said, they didn't really do much, and they stayed around here. And it's like, get the fuck out of town and don't come back. Go live a life. Go make a life. Go become who you were meant to be. Or if you don't even know what that is, build something interesting. Become an interesting person because you've had 18 years or 20 years or however long here in Raleigh and you done bubkiss. So being somewhere else, being very far away, maybe that will give you the hook into an interesting life that you need. And I told this person I did not become friends with this person. Doesn't mean I'm mean to him. Doesn't mean I'm hostile to him. I'm friendly. I'm friendly to a lot of people, but it doesn't mean that I'm gonna let this person into my life just because they're there, just because they came in to the gaming group. So what? I feel a lot of people in my gaming group. A lot of them over the years don't know shit about me. Um, I lived in Portland, I had a gaming group. When I lived in Reno, I had a gaming group. When I lived here, I had a gaming group. I didn't have one in Massachusetts. It was hard to find. We lived in white bread and mayonnaise central. So there wasn't a lot of crime. There wasn't a lot of anything. Um, Wakefield, Massachusetts is nice, but it's a place to be from. Uh, it's a bedroom community. Not really much is going to go on there. So, yeah, you know, you don't have to be friends with people. You don't have to let people into your life. Doesn't mean you gotta be mean. Doesn't mean you gotta be standoffish. Doesn't mean anything like that. But you can be polite. You can be professional, and you can have a plan to ignore everyone you meet. To paraphrase General Mattis. So yeah, just just that. Just you don't have to be friends with everyone you meet.